Hello everyone and welcome to Eatistic. Today we're making Jamaican Easter Bun. I know it's not Easter, but we make this recipe all year round. We eat it with cheese. Bun and cheese is very, very popular in Jamaica. So today we are doing a bun recipe. We're adding fruits. We're adding so many other recipes. So get the recipes down, get everything together, let's get into the kitchen and let's cook. All right, so let's get started. I have here 6 cups of flour. You can sift your flour to make it lighter and easier to mix. 6 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm gonna add the dry ingredients in one container and the wet ingredients in another container. So let's start with the dry ingredients. To the flour, I'm going to be adding 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And this is the brand of baking powder that I'm using, but whatever brand you use is fine. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. 2 teaspoons of nutmeg, grounded nutmeg. 2 teaspoons. We're going to be using 1 teaspoon of salt, and I use sea salt. That's my preference, but use any salt you want. 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And you can always add more or less of these ingredients. It really depends on your preference. So you could go up depending on how you want it to taste. You could always use more. Okay, so that's our dry ingredients. Oh, also, I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of ground ginger. You don't have to, this is completely optional, but I want to give my bun a gingery taste. So I'm adding that to the dry ingredients. So sift that, mix that all together. Already it has a beautiful color. So get it all mixed up together. Okay, and once it's all combined, we can move on to our wet ingredients. Now we're going to combine our wet ingredients. Now, Guinness, I'm using Guinness, and this is a very, very important aspect. You could use Guinness or you could use Dragon Stout, whichever one was stout. It gives it a really good taste. So I'm using 2 bottles of Guinness. So this recipe calls for 2 cups of sugar, but for my preference, I'm using only 1 cup of sugar. Brown sugar is my preference. You could use 2 cups of sugar or more or less depending on your taste. We're going to use ½ cup of honey, and this is the honey I'm using today. ½ cup. It's nice and thick. Get it in there. Beautiful. Get the honey in there, and 4 tablespoons of browning. For the browning, you could use, this is the one I'm using, you could use less browning, more browning. Depends on how brown you want your bun to be. I'm going to actually use 5 tablespoons. All right, that's enough browning. Okay, and we're going to be using 4 teaspoons of vanilla. I'm going to be using 4 tablespoons of rose water and 1 tablespoon, sorry, of mixed spice. So I've combined them together and I'm going to add it to the mixture. We're going to be adding, let's mix that up. And then we're going to be adding, now mix the sugar, ensure that the sugar is completely mixed and transparent. It's like if you're mixing a drink and you have sugar in it, and you make sure you mix the sugar out. That's important here for your bun. And we're going to mix it for a little bit, and then we're going to be adding 2 beaten eggs, 8 tablespoons of melted butter, and then we're going to be adding some raisins. Okay, you see that? Wow. So it really needs a lot of mixing. We're going to actually use a mixer as well, but let's add our egg. Some people warm the mixture on the stove to make it dissolve quicker, but it's a little bit tricky with the egg, so I'm not taking that chance. We're adding the butter. And then we're going to mix this all together. All right, mixed. Make sure that it's all mixed it together and dissolved nicely. Just gonna taste it. Nice. All right, so we'll continue mixing our mixture until the sugar is completely dissolved, and then we'll go to the next step. All right, so I think our sugar is completely dissolved. Look at that, see that? It's perfect. We're gonna add 2 cups of raisins. In my raisins, I also have bacon fruits. I think they're also called mixed peel. I'm going to be using a few green cherries and some red cherries in there with the raisins. You could blend this up if you want, if you don't want it to be whole in your bun, or you could put it whole if you want to taste it in there, the chunky feeling. So let's put it 2 cups. And these fruits were actually, they were used for another recipe, so they were actually being soaked in rum and Jamaican red label wine, so it gives it a nice taste as well if you soak your fruits prior to using it. But if you have not, that's fine, completely fine, you could still use it. All right, perfect. Now I think my mixture is ready. Everything is combined and ready to be added to the dry ingredients. All right, let's do it. So we're gonna add a little bit of the flour. Don't add everything at once. And then we're gonna just gradually mix it in there. If you see the dark color that my mixture has, it's because I used extra browning. As I said before, if you want your bun to be lighter in color, you use less browning. All right, let's put some more of our flour. If you find that your mixture is too dry after adding your flour, you could definitely add another or some more Dragon Stout or Guinness. But so far my mixture is fine. I'm going to add the remaining flour. thickness and consistency is very important. You don't want it to be too thick or too watery. All right, so we're gonna mix until we get everything mixed in nice. My fruits are getting stuck in the mixture, the mixer. Let's get it out of there. Don't want anything to get loose. Okay, perfect. So we're going to keep mixing until we reach our desired consistency. All right, so we've mixed our desired consistency. And we're going to preheat your oven at 350 degrees. And we're going to be using two 9-inch bread containers or bun containers. And just pour the mixture into your baking dish. So it seems we're going to be able to do another small. We have some leftovers. We could do in another small baking dish. I'm going to top my buns with red and green cherries. I've cut them in half so it's not too chunky, but you don't have to. So I'm gonna do one red and one green. Let's get all the fruits in there so none is wasted. Trying to do a nice design, but that's not happening. Let's try it with this one. So you're gonna bake for about an hour and a half. It could be less, it could be a little longer depending on your oven, but it should be about an hour and a half. Once, to make sure it's done, you stick a fork or a knife inside the bun, and if the fork or the knife comes up clean, it means it's done. And here we have it. We're gonna pop this in the oven and we'll come back to show you our finished product. All right, so here we are, up the oven. Our buns baked for 1 hour and 15 minutes. Now we're going to glaze it. We have here 4 tablespoons of water with 4 tablespoons of honey. I just boil it on the stove for a few minutes until it was boiled. Now we use a brush, you can use a pastry brush, and we're going to glaze our buns. It's optional, you don't have to glaze it, but it gives it a nice, shiny, sweet taste at the end of it. And ensure that you glaze this right out the oven while it's still hot. When your bun comes out the oven, it's a little bit, it could be a little bit dry as well. So the glaze is really great to give it a nice moistened topping. Get it right in every corner there. Beautiful. And there you have it. Beautiful. Enjoy.